Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I was reminded of a topic by looking at Alex Viada's wall, something that came through my feed yesterday, something that I posted over a year ago when he was talking about these conspiracy theories with Big Pharma, talking about how, no, they don't withhold cures, and he went into some stuff, and I gave my own little stance on that of why it is silly, and it's just absurd for people to make these statements, things like they withhold cures for cancers and all these diseases. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, do a little bit of crafting, and today it's just busy work, and let's talk about that. Now, people always ask me things like, Jason, why do you do all this crafting and busy work on camera? Well, one, I find it relaxing, and two, it sure has made it impossible for people to chop and screw my videos and make me say things I didn't say, hasn't it, for all you guys who watch these, who do that stuff? You guys having fun with that? Trying to make me say things I didn't say? A little harder now, isn't it? Have fun with that. All right. Big Pharma. I'm not going to say that Big Pharma isn't there to make profits. You know what? Pharmaceutical companies are big companies. What is their primary goal? To make money for their shareholders. That's it. Their job isn't to cure cancer, not to do anything that doesn't make them money. But here's the thing, guys. If it comes to, usually with these companies, there are ethics involved, there are laws involved. They're not always bad people. They're just profit-oriented people. They have to be to keep their jobs. But given a choice, if you can make the same amount of money doing something really good versus making the same amount of money doing something really evil, most people in business are going to tend to do the good thing as long as they're not losing any money by being a good person. Now that's the main point to consider there. Think about that for a minute. And sometimes what happens if doing the good thing does make more money. All right, in this case, everyone's always like, oh, they withhold all these cures, blah, blah, blah. They just want to get people hooked on all these drugs. Stop and think about this for a minute, guys. Do you think Big Pharma really has to do that? Look at what all I've covered on this channel regarding diet, exercise, everything else, and how these things affect diseases. With Americans sitting around in the Western world in general, it's becoming the whole Western world, in our success, our economic success, because our standard of living in the United States is higher than anywhere else in the world. Anyone who's lived abroad knows that. I'm sorry, guys, I've lived in Europe, I've lived in England, and I can tell you that the middle class in England do not have the standard of living that they have in the United States. The working class in the United States have nicer houses, nicer cars, newer homes, more square footage in their home than the middle class does in any of these countries over there. Flat out, we have a higher standard of living. Even our standard of medical care is better. All right, our standard is better. That is undisputable. I'm sorry, but anyone who works for a big multinational company in the United States has better health care through their work, through their insurance provider at work, than any of these socialized medicine programs give. I've lived under both. All right, I've had a big corporate job and seen the medical care I got versus living in the United Kingdom with its NHS. They're not even comparable. So we have a much higher standard of living as a whole. Our success has killed us because we're sedentary and we eat shitty, terrible diets. Eating a terrible diet and being sedentary causes probably 80% of the chronic diseases that we have in the United States. It is our lifestyles that do this. All right, it's not Big Pharma withholding the cures. And I know people are going to argue about statins and things. Okay, I get that. But you know what? Would you even need statins if you didn't eat fried garbage and bullshit and processed sugar and sit on your ass all day? Think about that. Would anybody have ever been prescribed statins in the first place? We can argue all day long as to whether they work or not and how much money companies have made off them. But would anybody need them? Like, how many people would seriously need statins if they didn't eat fried food, put butter on everything they eat, drink a Dr. Pepper or a Coca-Cola with their meals, and not go to the gym or work out every day? These people wouldn't need these statins. Maybe 2-3% of the people would have ever been prescribed when we were prescribed them. How about diabetes? All diabetes is big business, guys. In fact, the cost of insulin just went up. And as we discussed before, and I've proved and even had medical doctors come into things, most type 2 diabetics eventually get prescribed insulin. Do not forget that fact. Anyone arguing against that doesn't know that. They're ignorant of the situation. But even metformin, big money. Metformin, glucophage, big money in this stuff. Type 2 diabetes is 100% lifestyle induced. Cancers. Newest meta-analysis says what about cancers? We've discussed that, did a video on it. What percentage of cancers are caused by genetics and bad luck? Depending on the cancer type, up to somewhere between 10 and 30%. So wait a minute. Why would they need to withhold some cures for cancer? Anyone who got cancer, if they had magical cures, and cancer is dozens of different diseases. It is basically cells running out of control, mutated cells running out of control and growing into massive tumors. It's not just one type of disease. One cure wouldn't stop all of it. So that's why even the percentages vary for different types of cancers. All right, 10 to 30%, depending on the cancer type of it, is caused by genetics and bad luck, which means the meta-analysis showed that lifestyle is the primary cause of between 70 and 90% of all cancers in the United States and the Western world. 70 to 90% lifestyle induced. The same people who, if they got cancer and they cured it with some drugs, they could sell those drugs for as much as they wanted, guys. If it's a drug that's going to kill you if you don't take it, they could just underwrite it off. I mean, the insurance companies would have to pay the $10,000 a shot bill. If they had a shot they could give you one time and cure cancer, or if cannabis oil or B17 or any of this stupid shit that people come up with cured cancer, they could put a massive price tag on it, all right, because they could patent it and you wouldn't be able to sterilize it into the form that they're injecting it and do it yourself naturally. All right, they would patent it and you'd go to prison for stealing their patent. They could charge $10,000 for that one-time shot. And you know what? The same stupid fuckers who got it the first time who would take the shot would get it again and have to buy it again later. Think about that. This is lifestyle-induced diseases. A person who lived a terrible lifestyle, got the cancer, who then got the $10,000 shot to cure it, 10, 15 years later they're going to need the shot again because they're going to go right back to eating the same shitty diet and the same terrible lifestyle that caused it the first time. So any idea that people have that, oh, Big Pharma would suppress cures, no, they wouldn't. They'd make a fortune on the cures because the same people who live these terrible lifestyles that get all these lifestyle-induced diseases, which is 70 to 80% of the diseases we have in this country, are lifestyle-induced. The same people are going to sit around eating their double bacon cheeseburgers and drinking their Coca-Cola and sit on their fat fucking ass and never work out. They wouldn't go do their cardio every day. They're not going to do the things that are required to be healthy. They'll just go buy the cure again in a few years. They have repeat customers. Right now, there's no end in sight to America not consuming bad diets in mass. The majority. I'm not talking about people who are fitness oriented. I'm talking about the majority of people. They're going to continue to eat highly refined foods, processed foods full of vegetable oils, large amounts of saturated fat, large amounts of refined sugars. And people are not going to exercise. I guarantee you, no matter what we do, 80% of our population is not going to exercise regularly. They're going to make excuses. Because we're successful as a nation, and the whole Western world in general, but particularly the U.S., we've been so successful as a nation that we just don't have to do these things. And we die of chronic diseases as a result of it. I mean, that goes all the way back through history. You go back and look at the records they found from plantations and the slaves. The slaves in the field oftentimes outlived the slave masters. Think about that for a minute. The people who didn't have to do any work, who got to eat whatever they wanted, like at the old sugarcane plantations, they've seen records of that. The slaves didn't get to eat all the processed sugar. They did manual labor all day. They didn't get the processed sugar. The owners did, and while being sedentary, and the slaves outlived the owners. The actual masters died younger because of their terrible lifestyle. Think about that for a minute. That should tell you something. That's a lot of what we are seeing now. The same thing. Bad diet and being sedentary causes these diseases. Big Pharma is never going to run out of customers. They don't need to suppress cures. They don't need to suppress successful drugs. These are lifestyle-induced diseases. They don't need to even create diseases. All they have to do is prevent bans on the garbage food. All they got to do is encourage people to watch more TV and exercise less. That's all they have to do. If they do that, they're going to continue to make billions of dollars every year. They don't have to do anything unethical. People will do it to themselves. So these conspiracies that they're suppressing cures for all this stuff just to make more money so they can get stuff to treat these diseases, these are lifestyle-induced diseases. The cures would only be temporary. People would re-give themselves the diseases again. their profits wouldn't go anywhere. They don't have to do this kind of thing. This is nonsense. This is people just not willing to admit that the pharmaceutical companies aren't responsible for people having these awful diseases. They're just businesses making money at the end of the day off of some of it. And they do provide successful treatment for these diseases, but when they're caused by your lifestyle, expecting them to cure all of it is just ridiculous. These are diseases that people give to themselves, and even if they're cured, they will continue to give them to themselves again. This stuff is complete nonsense. We will continue to need big pharma because of our lifestyles in the same amount that we need it, no matter what they do. All right, guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.